The quantum unity principle. Why your mind crafts the universe, not the other way around. In 1905, Albert Einstein published a theory that upset the world, the theory of special relativity. This theory shows that time and space are not two separate things, but one and the same reality. As the astrophysicist John Wheeler so aptly said, time exists simply so that everything does not occur at the same moment. But then, if time and space are one, does that mean the future and the past are already there, already accomplished, and therefore everything is written? Well, in reality, no. In fact, space-time does not work like a timeline along which one could travel into the past or the future, as we have seen in science fiction films. In reality, quantum physics proves that the entire universe, including our body, is in fact a vast field of energy structured by our mind. The mind, by way of consciousness, structures this energy by lowering its vibration, which gives form to matter, and within this matter we therefore experience what we are in spirit. But what does that mean? It means that in truth, it is you who structure your environment and not the reverse, which means one must first be a thing inwardly for it to occur outwardly. This principle of manifestation is called the principle of quantum unity, and whoever understands it is capable of manifesting whatever he wants at will. This is exactly what is explained in detail in the Codex of Elohim, and precisely that is what we will discover throughout this video. If this seems complex or crazy to you, I guarantee that at the end of the video, you will have understood everything. Just before starting, do not hesitate to subscribe to the channel. It is really important for the YouTube algorithm and to support upcoming projects. Soon, big projects and exclusive gifts will arrive on the account. For those already registered, I will send this to you by email. And for those who wish, you can register at the Academy for free. There you will find free ebooks and scientific documents to reprogram your mind, but also more advanced courses for those who truly want to evolve, such as the YouTube AI course that will allow you to create a YouTube channel from A to Z of your choosing, thanks to artificial intelligence, and also a mindset leadership course to learn to create the life you want, both financially and spiritually. The links are in the description. So first, to understand everything we are going to see together, we must start with a very simple question. What is reality, in fact? And precisely what I'm going to explain here is not just my opinion or a theory that I invent. No, it is something already confirmed by science, by quantum physics, and once understood, it totally changes the way we perceive things. When we listen, for example, to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, or the Copenhagen interpretation, or what is called wave-particle duality, all that clearly tells us that what we believe to be solid, matter in reality is not solid at all. It is a field, an immense field of energy, one and the same unified energy that we call the quantum field. Some also speak of the dimension of the absolute, and everything, absolutely everything in this universe is created from that. There is not matter on one side and something else on the other. No, everything is that. Everything starts from there. And when we understand that, we begin to touch something really profound. Because in fact, even Niels Bohr, one of the great pioneers of quantum physics, also said it. This field of energy, it is not just energy as we might imagine it. It is mind. It is mind that acts through this field. It is mind that shapes this energy, that gives it form. And so what does that mean? It means that things are not created by chance. They do not fall from the sky on their own. They manifest from this principle of unity. Because yes, behind everything we call duality, there is in fact only one thing. Duality is just unity expressing itself in different forms. And to visualize that well, I will give you a very simple example. Take the human body. We all start from a single cell, a very tiny cell that then divides into 2, then into 4, then into 8, and so on until reaching billions of cells. But does the mind that animates the body become several minds because there are several cells? Of course not. The mind remains one, no matter the number of cells. It is always the same mind that manages the whole, and it is the same in nature. An ant, for example, has about 250 billion cells, a human being about 37 trillion cells, and an elephant still several hundred billion more cells. But does that change anything about the mind that animates these forms? No. It is always the same principle. It is always unity acting behind, and that does not stop there. This principle is true on the atomic scale as well as on the scale of galaxies. Whether in the microcosm or in the macrocosm, it is the same thing. Everything is mind. Everything is governed by mind. There is only one mind. Some call it God, others speak of the self or of the source. Everyone puts whatever word he wants, but basically it is simply the principle of unity. And when we understand that, we also understand that matter and what we call the spiritual have never been two different things. It has always been one. Life and death likewise have never been two opposites. In reality, there is only life. Death is just a change of state, like water that rises into the sky in the form of vapor and falls back to earth in the form of droplets. But in the end, it remains water, whether liquid or vapor. And in the same way, man is spirit. He descends to earth with a body, he rises to heaven in spirit, but he always remains spirit. And now that we know these two things are one and the same, there is something essential to understand. It is entirely possible to stay on earth since we are already the sky. In reality, there is no boundary between sky and earth. They are one and the same thing. If we look closely, we already have our feet on the earth and our body in the sky, because from what point can we say the sky begins? Where is the exact frontier? It is like heat. From how many degrees can we say it is hot? They are just the poles of one same thing, two extremities of the same principle. And moreover, there was a great biologist, Alexis Carrel, who received the Nobel Prize in medicine, who demonstrated something incredible. He showed that human cells can regenerate infinitely, continuously, provided that the mind inhabiting them is conscious of its immortality, because the mind that is aware of its immortality, that knows it is unity, that it is that principle, has no reason to lower its vibration. It simply is. And in that state, its cells regenerate naturally, continuously, eternally, like a baobab tree that can live hundreds or even thousands of years without any problem. And finally, we will answer together a question that many people have long asked, and which is at the heart of one of humanity's greatest myths. Could we travel in time? Could we, for example, go back to the time of the dinosaurs, or else go straight into the future? Well, the answer may surprise, but the reality is that it doesn't work at all, like in the movies. In movies, we often see characters who run faster than light, like in Flash, or spacecraft that create wormholes and supposedly allow a return to the past. But if we really think about this question, if we go a little further, we quickly realize that there is always that famous paradox where we get stuck. But if I modify the past, then what does the future become? And if I change the future, what becomes of the present? In fact, that kind of reflection rests on an illusory duality, a vision of things that is not aligned with the reality of the universe. Because the truth is that the past and the future have never really existed. What truly exists is the eternal present moment. Everything happens here and now. And that is not just a beautiful phrase. It is also what Albert Einstein shows through special relativity with the famous equation E = mx c2, which shows us that matter and light are in fact two poles of one single thing. If we take a simple image, matter would be like water in liquid state and light like vapor. So if a body or an object goes faster than the speed of light, it is not really going to travel in time as we imagine in films. It simply becomes light. It changes state. It passes from dense form to luminous form. So yes, in a sense that would be possible, but not in the idea of another past or another future. No, simply in the idea that everything already exists, that everything is there in the present, and that what we call traveling in time is in reality the capacity to manifest another reality in that instant, here and now. That is the true manifestation. It is not running after the future or wanting to change the past. It is knowing that everything is already accomplished. It is simply a consciousness that knows it is one, that knows it is complete, that knows it is already omniscient and omnipresent, and that simply by that consciousness moves its body in space with no limit of speed or time. Because in that state of consciousness, there is no distance, no delay. It is the mind that decides and the body follows. And in that logic, the transposition of the body, what some call teleportation, is simply that. The man who finds himself at the place where his thought is, even before thinking about it, a bit like in dreams, except that here it is done in full consciousness. And in the book, The Codex of Elohim, it is precisely said this sentence: "It is on the day when you do not think of it that the body transposes itself." And that sentence is true. It is even fundamental, because a bird does not ask itself whether it can fly. It flies. Well, it is exactly the same for man. It is the day when man no longer asks himself whether he can fly that he will fly. That is the true meaning of integration. The moment when there are no more questions, no more doubt. When the mind simply knows that it is, and that's all. Now, of course, we cannot say when that will happen, because as we have seen, there is no real timescale. Soon can be both an instant and an eternity. But it doesn't matter because it will happen because it is the truth. And what is interesting is that even doctors like Bruce Lipton have already shown that the cells of a body, even bone cells, can transform into muscle or fat cells simply according to the environment in which they bathe. And now that we know that the environment is created by the mind, it becomes logical that the mind, which knows what it is, which knows it is master, is also direct master of its own cells. The state of consciousness that inhabits the body transmits its vibration to the DNA, and that double helix, like an antenna, captures the vibration of the mind, transmits it to the cells, and that is what gives them their form, their capacities, their state. There you are. I hope this video pleased you. If so, you know that a little blue thumbs up and a subscription would make me really extremely happy. I thank you infinitely. And above all, very beautiful surprises are coming soon on the Academy of Motivated Entrepreneurs. So really, I advise you to register, because I will do my utmost to share all that with you, to give you pleasure, and to go even further together.